What we're going to do now is something I call the tell the story technique. It's one of the primary tools we use, okay? And what it is basically is this. I'm going to ask you to just tell the story of this event. Talk about the fighting, talk about the violence, talk about the belt hitting, talk about your mother crying and this kind of thing, okay? And as you talk about it, what's really important is that the moment you get intense at all, any place, that is an important area for us to address and start, taking care of some of the details under the surface. Are you with me? Okay. So the moment you get intense, you tell me. It's an opportunity. Don't go by it. A lot of conventional therapy says, well, just, grit your teeth and clench your fists and brave through it. And that's not this technique, okay? When we find something like that, we want to get right to it because we want to clean this out as best we can. Are we clear?
Yeah, just you asking me to do that made me feel tightness, and
Okay. Good.
just knowing that we're going to go through that story, and I'm going to tell that story.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to do a little tapping just on the prospect of telling the story. Okay. Let me ask you this: just the idea of knowing you're going to tell the story on a scale of 0 to 10, how tense does that make you?
Well, when you were telling me that, my body just went like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
It just had tightened up. Um,
Well, if you can estimate a number for me, it would be helpful.
um, Maybe 4.
Okay. All right. So tap with me. Even though I'm about to tell this story,
Even though I'm about to tell this story,
and I get tight just about thinking about that.
and I get tight just thinking about that,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Um, this is a necessary part of clearing it out.
This is a necessary part of clearing it out.
Okay. This tell the story emotion.
This telling the story and emotion.
This telling the story emotion.
This telling the story emotion.
All right, keep going.
This telling the story emotion. 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 This telling the story emotion.
All right. Now, knowing I'm going to ask you to tell the story, are you still a 4?
No.
Are you comfortable telling the story now?
Yeah.
All right. Now, let's go back over the instructions because they're very important. You start to tell the story. You start at some time where it's easy to talk about it, somewhere in there, and then you come into it. Now, if the story is like this long, I'm just giving you this little input from my experience, and you start here, let's say, you may be here telling the story, but you know what's going to happen. You may be actually be jumping over to here, even though you're hearing the story in your own mind, okay? But that's okay. Whenever you get intense or tight about anything, that's when you stop. That's our opportunity. If you go by it, we lose the opportunity, okay? All right, so go ahead, start telling the story, and then let me know when you get tense.
It was the day before my sister's birthday, and we were sharing the same bedroom, and it was late at night, and my parents came home, and just woke us up. she was up to, and so was I. And they started to argue, and so yeah, we
Okay. So what number are you getting to now?
mm, maybe four.
Okay. Is it about this argument, or are you leaping ahead in the story somewhere?
Well, because that arguing that they were doing, it was very full of anger. You know, it was and loud and it it sounded scary. I think also because it was so quiet and dark, and then for them to come in and to hear them yelling at each other, that was
Okay. What I'm looking for also in this, Sue, is not only that they were arguing and you were having some, you know, intensity about it. Um, I'd like to get a label for the emotion involved. Is this still fear now, or could there be some other emotion in there?
I think I yeah, I think it was in fear. It was like kind of because it kind of took me by complete surprise, and yeah, it made me very afraid of of not having of not having a a family together or
Okay. So it's also like an insecure feeling. They're fighting what's going to happen to me.
mhm. Or what's going to happen to everybody, them and yeah,
Yeah,
the whole family.
yeah. But I'm hearing in there a an insecurity, a
Yes,
fear regarding insecurity. Okay. All right. Here we are. Okay. With me. Uh, Even though I can hear them fighting now,
even though I can hear them fighting now,
and I have this very natural response
and I have this very natural response
of fear and insecurity.
of fear and insecurity.
I'm only 13 or 14, and I don't understand all these adult things yet.
I'm only 13 and 14, and I don't understand all these adult things yet.
Um, and my very security seems to be threatened.
And my very security seems to be threatened.
I know otherwise now that I'm older,
I know otherwise now that I'm older,
but I'm still carrying around that unnecessary fear.
but I'm still carrying around this unnecessary fear.
Okay. Do I have it right, Sue, in your mind? Is it unnecessary?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Okay. This unnecessary fear.
This unnecessary fear.
This unnecessary fear.
This unnecessary fear. This unnecessary fear. This unnecessary fear. This unnecessary fear. This unnecessary fear. This unnecessary fear. This unnecessary fear.
All right. Tap with me again, if you would. So, even though I have this unnecessary fear,
Even though I have this unnecessary fear,
I recognize it was very natural then.
I recognize it was very natural then.
And again, I know better now.
And again, I know better now.
It's history,
It's history,
and it is costing me to carry it around.
and it's costing me to carry it around.
I'm still afraid of an age 13 or 14 event.
I'm still afraid of a age 13 or 14 event,
And it's useless.
and it's useless.
Okay. This useless, unnecessary fear.
This useless, unnecessary
All
fear.
right, keep going.
This useless and unnecessary fear. This useless and unnecessary fear. this useless and unnecessary fear, 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 this useless and unnecessary fear.
All right. If you would close your eyes, tune back into that part of the movie where they're having this fight, and tell me if you're still at a 4 or whatever number you're at.
Oh, I would say it's about a 2.
It's about a 2.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Are you still getting? Is it a 2 because you're feeling some tension in your body?
Just some.
Just some
It's not as tight and not as I don't feel that as fearful.
Okay. Um, all right. We might come back to that. As it might occur as we go on, that might also resolve down to a lower number still. But I want to continue on. So if you would keep telling the story, they're fighting, and then keep going with the story.
They're fighting, and they come into the living room area, and our room is next to the living room, and there's no door between the bedroom and the living room, so we can hear quite clearly. They keep fighting and yelling at each other, and then there's a silence, and I think that maybe that's the end of the argument. But then I could hear the sound of a belt.
All right, stop there. Are you still at a 2 or some other number?
I'm only about a 4 or.
Well, that's enough. Okay. So is the 4 because of the sound of the belt, or is it because of the silence, or when did the 4 occur?
The sound of that belt.
All right.
Like it came off onto the floor, and then it hasn't hit my mom yet, but.
Okay. All right. Tap with me. Even though I can still hear the sound of that belt.
Even though I can hear the sound of that belt.
And it was very terrifying to me.
And it was very terrifying to me.
Yeah. My response was, my term, over the top.
My term was over the top.
No, my response was over the top.
My response was over the top.
No, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Do you know what over the top means? It means it was big time. I mean, you had major response to that. Fear. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I had major fear to that.
I see. Even though I had major fear to that.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Again, very understandable at the time.
Very understandable at the time.
But I'm still afraid of it.
But I'm still afraid of it.
And that's something like still being afraid of the boogeyman.
And that's something like being still afraid of the boogeyman.
Okay. I don't know if the boogeyman in your culture, etc. Was there a boogeyman when you were growing up?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I mean, do you get the point that a young child can be afraid of the boogeyman and it's not really there?
Yeah.
And we can be afraid even as adults for past events that aren't really there anymore.
Right.
It's the same kind of idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So in a way, I'm still afraid of the boogeyman.
So in a way, I'm still afraid of a boogeyman.
With this major fear.
With this major fear.
Okay. Still afraid of the major fear.
Still afraid of the major fear.
Keep going.
Still afraid of the major fear. 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 still afraid of the major fear.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, Go ahead and close the eyes and remember that belt again, and tell me if you're still a whatever number you were, four-ish or whatever it was.
No, no, it's not registering very much
All right.
fear. And
All right. Now, if you would go back earlier in the story to the fight scene where you were at a two, bring that up and tell me if you're still a two.
no,
Okay. So as it turns out, we did do something with it as we continued on through the story. Okay. Now the story's not done yet. There's the sound of the belt and your mother's response and so on. So continue telling the story and tell me when you get upset again
yeah.
or intense.
Well, when Dad took off his belt, and I heard the sound of the belt hit the floor, and then the next thing I heard was um, Dad hitting his belt on Mom, and Mom immediately starting to cry, and yeah, that.
What number is that?
Mm, 5.
Okay.
Okay.
So so your mother is, I mean, it's the event of your mother crying. Is that aspect, that crescendo in this story that's causing the five. Am I correct?
My mom's crying is
Yeah. The five that you are experiencing, the five in intensity that you're experiencing. That's because of your remembering your mother being hit and her crying.
yeah, because yeah, just knowing
Okay.
yeah.
Is that now the same emotion of fear? Still the same insecurity, fear that you're going on, or is there some other emotion involved?
I never realized it, but now I feel like anger.
Anger at your father?
Your father?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
I never really thought of it that way ever before. I always thought it was just fear, and but now, yeah, that's like I feel anger.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, as EFT does its job, and starts taking some of these issues apart, these things start coming up. Okay, like you didn't realize it was anger, but now you can sense the anger. So I'm going to deal right now with the anger. Okay, so even though I have this intense anger at my father,
Even though I have this intense anger at my father,
uh, from my perspective, he had no right to do that.
from my perspective, he had no right to do that.
It was inexcusable,
It was inexcusable.
and I'm going to stop a second. What I wanted, we're going to halt here for just a moment, Sue. Can you give me some sense as to why your father would do that? Was your father generally an angry man? Was your father alcoholic? Did your father have a number of emotional issues of his own that were being played out at this moment?
Oh, yeah.
Give me some sense of that.
Well, my dad was had they had been drinking, and my dad drank, and he also cheated on my mom a lot,
Okay.
and so I don't know if the fight was that, but
Okay. All right. But what I want to explore with you is oftentimes when we have violence like this, the person doing the violence, the father in this case, has a lot of built-in emotional stuff that they just have to get rid of.
yeah,
Uh,
well,
it could be from childhood, their own abuses, etc. They,
yeah,
when they have alcohol, they're usually covering, alcoholic. They're drinking a lot. They cover this stuff over, and they're like a volcano inside. And while we
mhm,
don't excuse the behavior, what we're trying to do is understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're not excusing it, we're trying to understand it. Okay.
Yes. My
And,
dad was normally a very quiet man,
hmm.
kept everything inside,
Yeah.
but until he drank or things got, for whatever other reason, then he would explode.
Okay. And so we're trying to understand that,
Hmm.
not excusing it. Okay. So even though my father had a volcano inside,
Even though my father had a volcano inside
um, that came about from his own childhood
that came about from his own childhood and upbringing
and his life,
and his life,
um, that, like all volcanoes, they must explode sooner or later.
like all volcanoes, they all have to explode one at some point or another.
And not everybody can keep a lid on a volcano,
And not everyone can keep a lid on a volcano,
including my father.
including my father.
And so while he was violent at this moment,
And so, even though he was violent at this moment,
I can understand where he's coming from, but not excuse it.
I can understand where he's coming from, but not excuse it.
I can have peace on it because I can understand it.
I can have peace on it, even though I cannot
No,
accept it.
but can understand it.
I can understand it.
Now I don't this understanding, but you do understand that at least academically.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, understanding dad.
Understanding dad.
Keep going. Understanding dad's violence.
Understanding dad's violence.
Understanding my understanding dad's violence. Go ahead.
Understanding dad's violence. 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 Understanding dad's violence.
Okay. One more round. Even though I have all this anger regarding my father's behavior,
Even though I have all this anger surrounding my dad's behavior,
I deeply and completely accept myself,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself,
and I love and accept my father even though I'm not excusing it.
and I love and accept my father even though I'm not excusing him.
Okay. Um, these barriers. What am I going to say? What I want to aim at is these barriers or these blocks. Wait a minute. Okay, no, we'll just go with anger. This unnecessary anger,
This unnecessary anger.
because meaning it's unnecessary now.
Okay.
Go ahead. This unnecessary anger.
This unnecessary anger. This unnecessary anger. This unnecessary anger. This unnecessary anger. This unnecessary anger. This unnecessary anger. This unnecessary anger.
Okay. So I think you missed under the eye. So just this unnecessary anger.
Anger.
Okay. Now, if you would close your eyes and vividly imagine your mother's crying and the father hitting her with the belt and the anger and all of that, and tell me what you get to.
A 3.
A 3. Okay.